Dexter is caught in a dangerous situation by Prater. Charlie, Uma Thurman, shows her mistrust of Red/Dexter while Prater oversees the final details of his large gala for injured policemen. He is too elusive, too private, and too secretive. That is not to her liking. Prater defends him after pointing out that Gareth, not Red, was always off. Red is liked by Prater. Furthermore, Charlie's sole purpose is to do one thing, and that is not to voice her opinions. Prater must be protected at any costs. So she does. The day following Dexter and his passengers' near miss with Angel, Dexter and Harrison are eating lunch at a restaurant when he abruptly freezes and loses all of his facial color, including his smile. As he begins to shake visibly. Prater approaches the table as the camera pans to reveal why, and it's an intense moment. The 8th episode of Dexter, Resurrection, is filled with near misses for both the main character and his dark passenger, including Angel, David Zayas, who is still trying to establish that Dexter, Michael C. Hall, is the actual Bay Harbor butcher. In one of the dark passenger's most spectacular takedowns to date, the zen and the art of playing tricks on Dexter Morgan were highlighted in last week's Dexter, Resurrection episode. As we go right into this week's episode, Dexter is still feeling good about turning around his life, which was on the verge of collapse, but this feeling is fleeting. In Dexter, Resurrection episode 8, The Kill Room Where It Happens, Harrison, Jack Alcott, becomes more settled in life after applying to community college and going on a date. Angel gets into trouble after a near miss with the dark passenger, and Prater, Peter Dinklage, puts Dexter in a precarious situation. Dexter is knocked off his game in his haste to take down Rapunzel/Al, Eric Stonestreet, the final of Prater's predators, as I like to call them. You will be holding your breath and gritting your teeth the entire time in episode 8, and by the final moment, Dexter isn't the only one whose body begins to shake and whose heart stops beating. For a thorough synopsis and analysis of these near misses in Dexter, Resurrection episode 8, continue reading. The One That Escaped. Al, commonly known as Rapunzel due to his obsession with ponytails, is the only one of Prater's predators still alive. However, in episode 8, Dexter and his dark passenger want to change that. Since the owners are out of town and the establishment is closed, Dexter checks out a kill space and ultimately finds a wig shop that will be ideal. It's definitely one of the most eerie death rooms Dexter has. It's a spooky scene, with wigged mannequins' eyes, lips, and ponytails peeking out from behind the thick plastic covering the walls. The dark passenger, however, is eager to have Rapunzel on his table and finds it ideal. The issue is that Al is frightened after all that transpired with the Gemini killer, Lowell's abduction, and Mia's suicide. Prater's parties no longer excite him as much as they once did, so he's packing up to go home and be a family guy. Although they agree on a time and location, Dexter quickly arranges to meet with him before he leaves town, but Al fails to show up, making him the one who escaped. When Dexter calls, Al declines to provide any information about his whereabouts, saying only, "See you next year," before tossing his phone out the window, maintaining a clear separation between his private and Prater lives. Rapunzel won't be at his table tonight, but someone else will. A fresh target is identified by the dark passenger. Dexter investigates after learning about Harrison's encounter with Vinny, Steve Shirripa, of Blue Bloods, Elsa's, Emilia Suárez, landlord, and discovers that he might indeed meet the code. How could he not, considering his history as a slumlord who has been known to abandon people on the streets and disregard their requests, which has led to some fatalities. The dark passenger's fury switch is flipped and turned on after meeting Vinny in person, despite Harry's, James Remar, warning Dexter that he's working to get Vinny to fit the code. On his way home from work later that evening, Dexter catches Vinny. This table party is different from the one when Dexter and his dark passenger are nearly salivating over wanting to kill him. This table party is really an attempt to intimidate a jerk into altering his destructive behavior. Dexter cuts off Vinny's air supply as he awakens, demonstrating what it's like to be unable to breathe and threatening to punish him if he doesn't comply with his orders. Just as the door to the wig shop opens, Dexter lifts his knife, and Vinny, desperate, accepts and begs for his life. After an encounter with the dark passenger, Angel finds himself in a difficult situation. Since placing his AirPods in Dexter's vehicle door, Angel has been keeping a close eye on the suspected butcher's whereabouts, establishing a pattern that will allow him to see any irregularities. When he spots Dexter in a section of town he never goes to, he goes to find out where and why. Knowing that Dexter is inside with a victim, he picks the lock after finding a light on in the wig business that should be closed. "He's going to kill me," he yells as he opens the door, and a terrified Vinny, barely dressed, rushes out from behind a piece of plastic. Incredulous at what he sees, Angel dashes through the plastic to the back. The Bay Harbor butcher is rendered incomprehensible by this ornate death room, even if there is no blood or victim present. Now that he knows, he can finally understand how the butcher got away with his killings and never left a trace of proof.